In Cumbria, close to the Scottish border, this is Britain's secret weapon in the climate change fight. These peatlands, with their mosses and their grasses, play a vital role in filtering carbon from the air.
They're our equivalent of rainforests in the UK or in the temperate climate. They cover about 3% of the world's surface, but in that 3% they actually they contain more carbon than all the other habitats put together.
But for years, peat has been dug up, used as compost and sold to gardeners and farmers, both amateur and professional. And once it's gone, peat's carbon storage properties are lost.
These sites took an awful long time. They took 10,000 years to form. I mean, we've lost probably about 95% of our peatlands to forestry, agriculture, burning, grazing and extraction, commercial extraction of peat for horticulture.
10 years ago, the Department for the Environment set a target that by 2020, peat would no longer be used in garden products for amateur gardeners, so things like compost that you can buy in the garden centre. And it had hoped that industry would be well on the way to phasing out the use of peat as well.
But those targets were voluntary, and they've been missed. We found peat-based compost still on the shelves of major garden centres and in the medium that plants were grown in. B&Q told us we are moving away from peat in our products. We also sell peat-free compost at more competitive prices than other composts, whilst Dobbies said we are committed to being peat-free for 2021. But they admitted even their reformulated compost contains 30% peat. For many, the industry is simply not moving fast enough.
We need to really decide that it's going to be banned, and let's see it being banned.
Here in the Lake District, Simon Bland is making peat-free compost. It's a mix of local bracken and wool from Simon's sheep. But it is more expensive to make than simply digging up peat, so there are slimmer profits for producers and less financial incentives for industry's biggest players.
It's getting driven by the big companies that are supplying the material, but the garden centres, they're buying all these different things to put to the public to buy. The garden centres should be taking more responsibility.
The Department for the Environment told us that amateur gardeners should play their part by switching to peat-free alternatives. But environmentalists believe it's up to the government to put more pressure on suppliers to ensure that peat doesn't get put in a bag, but stays in a bog. Katerina Vitozzi, Sky News in Cumbria.